Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be going through the ERD document for the ERDs that are used for the tables that you'll be working with in the database programming section of this course. So this document can be found in the Blackboard shell under the Unit 3 folder. It's called ERDs. Have it open in here. I had it open in here. Now it's not open, of course. Here it is. So it's right in here. It's called ERDs, Showing Tables and Relationships. So I've got it open in two different windows here. And that is because on page 5 of this document, we get into the table design and diagrams, and they are just the table design for the ERDs that are on the first 4 pages. So we're going to start and we're going to talk about the employees / departments ERD and table design. So as you can see, we've got our different entities and their relationships. You know, we've got job history, job, employee, department, etc. We've got their relationships and all of that. They've got their attributes, mandatory and optional. So in the table design of these ERDs, what we have on that is we've got what the table is called in the object browser in Apex. So that SQL schema that we uploaded to Apex, all of these entities that are in these ERDs are the tables that are a part of that. So you can open those in the object browser. And so in the case of the job history entity, we've got the job history. That's the name of the table. That's where the name of what you'll click on in the object browser if you want to view it. And the attributes for that just come straight from the entity here, and also from its foreign keys in this case, because it is on the mini side of 3 different relationships. So it has some foreign keys that are listed as well, and they may or may not be mandatory. Like job ID is mandatory, but department ID is not. So we've got those, and we also have the primary keys. And so all of those attributes come from what the attributes are listed as on the ERD, and also from the foreign keys that it inherits over here or gains from these different relationships. And then this over here is the type of data that is entered. So employee ID will be a number, and start date will be a date, and date will be a date, and then job ID will be characters, be like letters. And then it's the same for all of these different entities. Like the job entity, the table name will be jobs, and it has its attributes and its data types. And the attributes become the columns for the table that each entity becomes. So the jobs entity will become the jobs table, and then the columns will all be job ID, job title, minimum salary, and maximum salary, and then each row will be a different entry. So we'll move on to the next table, which is the WFF countries ERD. I'm sorry, I said table. It's the next ERD. So we have, you know, the different entities. It's just the same as the last ERD. We've got the entities, and over here in the table design section, we've got, or diagram, we've got the entities listed as their table name, and then they've got their attributes, and the ones that get foreign keys, like the spoken languages gets 2, it gets the country ID and language ID, and because it's a barred relationship on both of those are also the primary keys for spoken languages, and then it's got official and comments, and so it has just inherited its attributes from the ERD. And so there's nothing super different about this particular table design for this ERD. So you can look at that and look at, all of the attributes if you want. And then you can open this in Apex and you can click on, for example, the WF countries table, and you can look and see that the attributes are listed as the column names for that table. So the next one is the global fast foods table, ERD, and table design. And so what's different about this one is it's got all of its entities and its relationships. All of the entities have their attributes and their primary and foreign keys as they should have, based on the relationships. But what's different about it is that the staff entity is a supertype and it's got some subtypes in here. Now, when you look at this, you'll notice that the subtypes do not have their own table design. They're not listed as separate tables or anything. But what we do for those is we have the F staffs table design, which is for the staff entity. So it's the F staffs table, and it's got all the attributes for the staff supertype, but then it has attributes for the subtypes that are part of that. So it has overtime rate, training, manager ID, manager budget, manager target, revenue. And those are all from the subtypes. And what happens here is they just become optional attributes because, overtime rate is not going to apply to cooks or managers, but it does apply to order takers. So it's optional. If someone's an order taker and they're in there, they will have an overtime rate. But if a cook is in there, they're not going to have an overtime rate. So that's how the subtypes have been handled, is their attributes just go into the supertypes table design, and they're just optional attributes. So that's what's different about this table design, between this ERD and this table design, is just that there's some subtypes and they're just listed as optional attributes in here. Other than that, the table design is just the same as the other two. The entities are over here, and then they have their attributes that they gain from foreign keys. They have their primary keys. They have their own attributes. And that's what it is for that. The last ERD is the DJs on Demand ERD. So we've got our ERD on this side and our tables design on this side. Again, it's just about the same as the last one. What's different about this one is also the subtypes, of course, how the subtypes are handled. And so, just like the last one, the attributes from the subtypes are just listed in the partners table as optional attributes, and that is how they are handled in this particular table design. Something that's also different about the DJs on Demand table design is that there are actually a couple of tables in this table design that do not appear as entities in the DJs on Demand ERD. So the first one is the D types table, which has a code and description attributes, and it's connected to the songs entity on a many relationship, or a one-to-many relationship. And it actually gives the songs entity a foreign key of type code, but that helps maybe to categorize the songs a little bit. so that if you've got like hip hop music or rock music, so we've got a code for each of those, is maybe what that would be used for. And then in on this side, we've got a venues table listed as well. And it also is giving the events table a foreign key. It's getting the venue ID foreign key on this table. And so that tells them where the event is held, where the address and everything. So that tells them the venue. So those are the things that are different about the DJ's on-demand table design. And so I'll just go ahead and show you what I was talking about, how the entities are just, they turn into the table names, and then their attributes become the columns. I'll show you what that looks like here in Oracle Application Express. So if you just go to the workshop and the object browser, you can click on any of these table names over here, and you can see kind of how the table is laid out, or how it's set up. And so we'll do the D partners table, for example. It's one of the ones that had subtypes on it. So it'll just take a minute to load here. And so as you can see, it's called D partners. So this document will really help you if you're trying to find a specific table and you can't remember if there's like a letter in front of it. All of these in the table design, their names are listed as what they're called in here. So it's got all of the attributes that are listed here. They're all column names. So we've got ID, first name, last name, expertise, specialty, etc. And then the data type is listed in this table design as well. And it's listed here, and it matches up. And then it also has the primary keys are marked on here. So if any of these have two primary keys, like the playlist items, if you click on that, you can see this is primary key 1 and primary key 2. So those are the ERDs for the tables that you will be working with as part of the database programming section of this course. I hope that this video was helpful and informational for you. I hope the rest of your day, evening, study session, whenever you're watching this, I hope it's going really great. Thank you.